Welcome back. My first video detailing kind of the stuff we bring in. So today I'm going to be going over the equipment and clothing we bring in for a 7-8 night camping trip in the end of the fall. Although to be honest, the clothes and the gear you're going to see here today wouldn't really switch it up that much if we were going early spring, if we were going even kind of like early summers, because it still kind of can get cool at times. So to start things off, just gonna start with clothing wise, like what we'd wear hiking in on the first day. Pretty basic, button down, hiking pants, t-shirt. In this case, it's a Smart wool t-shirt. Same thing for my dad, hiking pants, button down. I got a bit better style, so I went with the flannel button down, but just materials that are gonna breathe well. You know, wool, polyester, nothing cotton. I don't think we bring any cotton in the entire week. Usually bring an extra pair of hiking pants each. So we wear pants, we have the pants we wear hiking in, and then we have a pair we can change into throughout the week. We don't try not to bring too much clothes extra, but you know, especially if you go in and ice out in the spring, it can rain a lot. Last year in the fall, we had like every day it rained, so we were changing clothes a lot. Probably the most important item that we bring, I would say, is wool socks. We try to bring 2 to 3 pairs each. 3 if it looks like the forecast is going to be a lot of rain, 2 if it doesn't. This week is supposed to be sunny, so we might just bring 2 pairs each. And then also, we're the same size shoe, my dad and I, so worst case Ontario, if all my socks get wet, I'll just borrow one of his and vice versa. Now, because it kind of can get cool at night, in the early morning, we like to be up early, up late fishing. We do bring wool sweaters, heavy wool sweaters. Sometimes we switch it up between like a fleece and wool, but we just find wool so much warmer. And even if it's windy, yeah, wind will cut through the wool, but even with the fleece, it gets cut through unless it's like a super high-tech fleece. But then we find it just not as warm. So we both have LLB and wool sweaters. I got mine here, got Dad's here. Of course, we got belts to hike in with. They're just basic, great, you kind of need them. Then also another important item is the wool base layers that we bring in. We do Smart wool icebreakers, fine as well. 250 weight, you know, even if you're walking around a bit, as long as it's not too hot, you're gonna be quite comfortable in these. And honestly, in an absolute emergency, you know, let's say you've dunked in your second pair of clothes, these will do just fine under a pair of rain pants and rain gear. Speaking of rain gear, I got a new rain jacket this summer. My previous shell, the Arc'teryx Beta AR, it started delaminating in the shoulders. Speaking of which, they did give me a gift card towards a new one, so that was great. I did use it, but today I'm going to be bringing in the Algonquin Pro from Nerona that I got. I'm going to be trying it out. It's a little bit lighter than the new Arc'teryx shell I got, so I'm picking this one over it. As far as rain pants, I do have the Zeta SL. My dad, of course, still uses his Marmot Minimalist. It's been great for him. He's got no complaints for it. Matching pants, Marmot Minimalist pants. Last bit of key clothing that we bring in are our down puffies. So Dad has the Patagonia down puffy. I have the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer down hoodie. Haven't really had the chance to use it. Tested it out around the city, but haven't really had a chance to use it any outdoors. We probably do bring an excessive amount of clothing. We're prepared for probably it to go down to like -10, and we could still be out there fishing and hiking and stuff. But you know, Dad's getting older. He doesn't like being cold. Another very important pair of items, boots. Dad's got his Loa Renegades, pretty newish for him, likes them. I've got these Zamberland, I can't remember the name unfortunately. Either way, they were new for me. First trip was a spring trip. They did give me some bad blisters, but probably my fault. Should have broke them in a bit more. Hopefully this trip they're a bit more gentle on my feet. On to sleeping wear. Still have the same tent, the MEC Volt 3-person tent for the two of us. Pretty roomy in there. Dad and I were this close to picking up a Nemo Dagger Osmo 2-person tent. was on sale, could have got 35% off. We didn't. Now we're kicking ourselves. Would have shaved off about an extra pound and a half. Not that that's a ton of weight, but you know what, it adds up, especially when you're trying to single carry. You know, it is what it is. In the future, if it goes on sale again, we're snagging one for sure. 2-ounce sleeping bags, in compression bags, just to help pack stuff down a bit better. Not much to say about these. To keep us warm. We've had them for a long time. Can't really complain about them. They're great. We go with down just because it's warmer, lighter, packs down a bit better. God forbid we dunk and our sleeping bags get wet, we're in trouble. But you know, they're in dry bags too, on top of the compression bags that they're in. So, and we try not to flip. Usually we just bring in 2 tarps. So the blue one here is like our ground tarp for the tent, just to help keep it dry underneath. Orange tarp we usually set up if it's gonna rain over top of the tent. I don't agree with it. My dad's a little paranoid in my opinion about the tent getting wet. I think the tent's waterproof enough without this, but he likes to do it anyways. If it was up to me, we'd kind of have a second shelter with the tarp, but usually it's not up to me. Thinking about getting another one, a bigger maybe Aqua Quest, just so we can cover the tent, especially if we get a 2-person tent, cover the tent and have like a little bit of a shelf where we can hang out underneath and not be cramped on those rainy trips. That's what happened last fall. Covered the tent, it rained all the time. The tent was dry, but we didn't really have any place to hang out apart from the tent. Got our air pillows, 1 each. They're great, super light, easy to pack down. Not much to say, to be honest. Sleeping pads, Thermarest Neo Airs, easy to blow up, comfortable. Dad says I keep too little air in mine. I said he has too much air in his, but we both have our preferences. Another very important item. I think if we had started our trip and we found out we didn't bring any of this, we'd have to go back. Toilet paper, wet wipes, hand sanitizer. One last piece of clothing I did actually forget to mention. We do bring in wool toques. Well, Dad always does. Sometimes I don't. Last fall I didn't, and I actually did get kind of cold. So this fall I am bringing mine as well. It's not supposed to be nearly as cold, not supposed to be as rainy, but I figure, you know, they're not very heavy and, you know, can't hurt. Next is probably the heaviest of the luxury items we bring in. We're always hemming and hawing about whether to ditch these 2 or to keep bringing them, or maybe just bring 1 in, but they are collapsible chairs. You know, on a weekend trip it's not really necessary, but when you're out there for a week and you're always sitting in the canoe, you're hunched over, you're trying to sit up straight, but you can't always, you know, you're sitting on logs and rocks and around the fire. You know, it is nice to have a bit of a backrest from time to time, especially if it's raining and all the benches are wet. You know, you can keep these dry. So we do bring them in for now on, but they are heavy. I think the 2 of them combined is 5 pounds, so there you go. Artillery hats, pack down pretty easily, cover you from most of the sun, waterproof, so they say. They're great hats, love them. Looking to get new ones just because they're getting a bit old, and the new ones I think have a wider brim, and you know, when you're on this water all day, getting the sun beaming down you, getting it reflecting off the water, you know, if any more you can cover up, the better. Water filter we've been using the past few years, the Platypus. We used to hand pump for the longest time. Eventually, you know, we saw everybody was using the Platypus. We got our own. We love it. We drink so much more water now. It's just so much more efficient. I think anything it's even lighter too. Problem is, I did mention it, I think, in my first video I have uploaded on my channel. We actually had like a squirrel bite through the tubing, so that kind of screwed us. Had to get a new one, and not cheap, unfortunately. So ever since then we've been very careful where we leave this. Also in the colder weather, so I've heard you have to sleep with the filter itself, because if water gets in there and freezes, it'll break. So an absolute ton of rope. We got a throw rope in here for the canoe, which you need by law, I'm pretty sure. And then rope to hang tarps, rope to hang the food pack. Got a little pack towel. Dad always tends to go for a dunk involuntarily. I don't know what it is. He always slips in the water, so we have this just in case. Especially, you know, when you go at the end of the fall and early spring, that water can be very cold. Last thing you want is to get hypothermic. Probably the most annoying item to bring in is this camera case. definitely very necessary. I wouldn't want to bring in my camera without a solid case, waterproof, you know, kind of shockish proof. But it is bulky, it's kind of heavy when the camera's in there. It is what it is. In my opinion, we have the most important item here in my hands, fishing rods. We always joke if, you know, we didn't bring the fishing rods, like let's say we forgot them somewhere, we'd go back. I wouldn't go into the park without fishing rods. I wouldn't go camping, honestly, in my opinion. It's just not for me without fishing rods. You know, I'm going far. I'm putting my body through hell. I'm doing it because I want to fish at the end of it. You know, there's plenty of other reasons to go camping for anybody, for sure. It's great to see other people camping, but for me, I need to have a fishing rod. Continuing on from the fishing rod, you know, we have our kind of fishing gear all in here. This red pack has been through hell. It's one of the old MEC ones, probably like 15 years old at this point. I think it was my school bag when I was a kid at some point. Unfortunately, very heavy. We got weights, lures. So for the two of us, we got 4 reels just in case, because again, you know, we just really don't want to be out there and not be able to fish. So 1 tackle box, 2 tackle boxes, and then just a bunch of fishing line, duct tape, some batteries. So it's a heavy pack. If it doesn't fit into our bigger pack, we just carry it on our chest. Can't really complain though. A little lucky pack served us well. I think this fall it'll be the Wabakimi Ostrom bag again instead of the granite gear, but we haven't made a final decision on that. So I think that kind of covers the majority of our gear. You know, I left out a couple of small things. I'm missing a pair of pants. I haven't been able to find it. I'm hoping I find it before we go. Water bottles, stuff like that. Food, I didn't mention anything about food. We just, you know, I got so much, and hopefully I can talk a bit more about it when we're out there. And then of course other small things, you know, bring in stuff for, you know, batteries, SD cards for the camera, my GoPro, microphones, stuff like that. You know, all of it adds weight, it all takes up space, but I didn't mention it in this video, maybe in a video in the future. But that's kind of like the gist of our stuff. Like I said, you know, we're going to be going in the fall, you know, in a few days. We're going to be going in our fall trip. But this gear wouldn't really change too much if we were going, you know, the first week of May. If anything, maybe we'd bring an extra pair of wool socks. But, you know, we're pretty well prepared, in my opinion, for the temperatures to drop. Unfortunately, they do not, in our luck. Our spring trip this spring, you know, it was way too hot. You know, we were hitting probably like mid-30s some days, and we were prepared for down to -10. So it's a chance you take. You know, I'd rather be prepared and not need stuff than unprepared and freeze to death out there. So it is what it is. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it and maybe, you know, picked up a couple of ideas about something you might be missing in your camping gear. If you have any suggestions about something that's maybe way too heavy that we're bringing that we need to get rid of, or something that you like, a luxury that you like to bring in, you know, let me know for sure. Yeah, I'll see you guys soon.